We now know the names of the two men who were killed in that tragic DPS helicopter crash in Flagstaff. Pilot and aviation supervisor Robert Skankey and DPS trooper and paramedic Hunter Bennett died in that crash. Robert Skankey was a longtime resident of Kingman who served in the Marine Corps from 1988 to 2010. He joined DPS in 2021 as was promoted to aviation supervisor in 2024. Hunter Bennett started working for DPS in 2022. He was assigned to Highway Patrol in 2023 before transferring to Western Air in 2024. Their deaths are promoting an emotional response for many across Arizona. Alexis Dominguez is live outside DPS headquarters in Phoenix, where troopers just wrapped up a media briefing. Alexis, what did you learn?
Yeah, Jamie, definitely heartbreak here at the DPS headquarters, and you can really feel the heaviness in the air. Now, this was not just a news conference. People who knew both of those men who died spoke here today, and you can see both of their photos right here, right in front of the headquarters. Now, this crash happened Wednesday night, just after 10:15, as the DPS helicopter was called out of Kingman at the request of Flagstaff police, responding to an active shooter. We heard radio sound from the chopper pilot just moments before the crash, and we saw video of the helicopter going down. But there are no obvious answers to the question: what brought that helicopter down? The cause of the crash remains under investigation. The NTSB is leading that effort, with DPS also working alongside the FAA. Witnesses at the scene told us they heard several rounds of gunfire moments before the helicopter went down, raising questions whether the shootout on the ground may have played a role in the crash.
We don't want to speculate. It would be just really irresponsible for us to speculate at this time. We have to allow for NTSB to conduct their investigation to figure out exactly what has occurred. Our helicopters, the Bell 407s and 429s, are not outdated aircrafts. They are regularly inspected and go through a very rigorous check. As I just mentioned, that particular aircraft went through a maintenance check just a few days prior to the crash.
Colonel Jeffrey Glover, the director for DPS, did say the agency recovered all of its drones and equipment from the scene. So the investigation into what specifically brought the chopper down will be handled by the NTSB, and investigators with that agency will be sifting through the wreckage, while DPS will be looking at processes and procedures of what was happening before the crash. Now, the reality is that these types of investigations can take a long time, so it may be a while before we get any answers to our questions. Reporting live here in Phoenix, Alexis Dominguez for Arizona's Family.
Alexis, thank you for that. Many lawmakers and law enforcement remembering the two who were killed in that tragic crash. David Caltabiano shares more from Flagstaff.
There is a growing memorial here at the DPS field office in Flagstaff, and you can see this picture here, Ranger 56. That is the chopper that crashed on Wednesday night. There was also a large law enforcement procession through the high country in honor of the pilot and DPS trooper paramedic who died in the crash. There was also a moment of silence at the Arizona State Capitol, lawmakers paying their respects, and the governor posted a message writing, "The bravery of these two troopers will never be forgotten." When the helicopter crashed Wednesday night around 10:17 p.m., we spoke with witnesses who say it shook homes in one neighborhood, and it really shook the community as well. We spoke with people who have been thinking about the troopers.
Heard a lot of emergency vehicles, saw a lot of lights, and then I went on the news and this is my community. I just feel terrible.
It was sad. This morning, the sadness registers, and I feel for the family of the officers who gave up their lives last night.
A lasting message that will stay with you from this memorial, this sign that reads, "Heroes live forever." For now, I'm David Caltabiano reporting from Flagstaff.
David, thank you. We will have more updates on this tragedy as we learn more. Just download our free Arizona's Family News app. You can find it in the Google Play and Apple app stores.